Okay, let's begin. Good evening to everyone. As usual, we are to continue our exercise. Okay, planning control management, special topics. Previous episode is about special topics also in session 2, which includes the Primavera P6 schedule forward and backward calculation explained. And our current episode is special topics also, session 3. This is about Primavera P6 activity dates explained. This is in the first segment because I'm not sure if we can finish this in one segment only. So kindly subscribe, like, and share, guys. Okay, since we have already the idea on how the schedule is being calculated, let's elaborate further the other types of activity dates. Actually, we have already tackled the other activity dates, types of activity dates, like, for example, the start, finish, planned start, planned finish, early start, early finish, and the late start and late finish. But there are some other activities we need to discuss. Actually, we are supposed to prepare for our program update 001 basic reports. But I perceive that we need to have a proper understanding of the Primavera P6 terminologies for every fields that we have to display in our reports. And we will start from the different types of Primavera P6 activity dates, because Primavera P6 has a lot of different types of activity dates, in which if we don't understand each the function or behavior of each, we would be surprised for the outcome of our program that is not running accurately as we expected. Okay, let's open our mock-up project in Primavera P6. So here we go. So there it is. I always prepare this in advance so that we will not be short of time. So here it is. Let's insert all activity dates in the columns. And actually, I have already did this one. So here, I arrange it, organize it by here. All the original, all the durations here on this side. And then here on this group, I put a spacer in here, spacer also here. Here, we have here the our baseline project start, so that we have the reference of our baseline. If whatever changes that will be appear here in our observation, then we can quickly observe or notice it. So all of this area here are all for the start dates. Why start dates? Because here for the start dates, here the planned start also, actual start also, and then remaining early start also, and early start also. All of this area here are for start, and here are for finish dates. Okay. So every date here is already displayed in this column, so that we will elaborate each and try to understand each of this. So okay, so let's go to our slide. Okay, here we go. Let's use our mockup program and assign the same as baseline so that we can compare the outcome of the changes. Okay, let's assign first. we will assign a baseline program here in our mock-up project. So the short way of how to assign maintain baseline first. So we will go here. We have to maintain baseline. We have to assign baseline for this current project, but of the same project. So to make it easier, so we will add. So we will use this one, save a copy of the current project as a new baseline. That means the same, the project here on our front, in our front, will be assigned as a baseline also in our, as a baseline also for this project, okay? So instead of converting another project, so we have to make a copy of this again and then convert it as a baseline. So it is, I think this using this one, save a baseline for current project as a new baseline is a short process. Okay, let's make it, let's do it. Okay, here we go. So this is now the mock-up baseline. So we will have to assign this one. Okay, let's close it and then we will assign it here. And then we will put it under the project baseline. Okay. Okay. But be sure that you have to look at the project and under the I think this is in the default settings, I think. Yeah, here in the settings, you can see here the baseline or earned value calculations that we have to use. So we will be using the project baseline. So our, okay, if we look at it here, so our assignment here is project baseline, so that is correct. So let's go down. So now if you look at here, this is really this one, baseline project start. This is the date property of the baseline. Okay. Baseline of this current project that we are doing now. And also here, the baseline project finish date. So whenever any changes here on our current schedule, so at least we can see what are the changes against the baseline. Okay, so okay, let's start with first, let's go here on our slide. Okay, Primavera P6 activity date types. So here we have here the date type and here are the definitions. Okay, as per the Primavera definition, the expected anticipated start is the expected start date of the project if it's not or WBS level used during the planning phase. This date is manually entered and is not affected by scheduling. An anticipated start date cannot be entered at the activity level. So let's go for the anticipated finish. Okay, here is the anticipated finish and the definition is the expected finish date of the project, EPS NOD or WBS label used during the planning phase. So this date is manually entered and is not affected by scheduling. An anticipated finish date cannot be entered at the activity level. Okay, let's look at our Primavera P6. So what will happen to that? So as shown there, let's try entering these dates. I mean the anticipated start and finish dates on a project level. So what do you mean by a project level? It is here. Okay. So our project here is the mock-up. Okay. So we will show the column here. Okay, actually it is already in here. Okay. So assuming this anticipated date under the project level, we will assign a date. Let's say anticipated start is actually what is our data date here? That is October 1. So it should not be earlier than the data date. So we have to choose the same date. So meaning our anticipated date is the same as our schedule really. And then next, the anticipated finish. So we will use the same, October 1 and 14 of November. Or let's say we will make this a little bit earlier. So we will make it October 1. Let's make this as November 10. Okay. Okay, so this is anticipated date. Anticipated start is 1 of October and 10 of November. Okay, so take note that we are entering the anticipated start and date into the project level. Okay. Now it is stated there that we can also enter the anticipated date in the EPS node. So meaning, since this is the project level, so the EPS here is A1. APS node is A3, A2, A1, or even A, the level 1 of the EPSA. So let's say we will input it here somewhere in, let's say A1. Okay, so let's make it the same date, A1 and 10 of December, 10 of November, I mean, 10th of November. Okay, so we have already entered the anticipated dates into the project level and EPS node. Okay. So next is to enter it into WBS level. So let's go, let's open our WBS. This one. Okay, so anticipated date. So actually what we have entered in the EPS already is reflected in here. And also here, you can choose any dates that you want for this WBS level. You can also put some dates in here. Let's say we will put in here just for what do you call this? Demonstration purposes only. So now, let's say we will put it by 5th of October. And then it will be finished by, let's say, the first level. Let's say, of course, it should be lesser than the higher level, right? October 5th, and then this November, let's say November 5. Okay, so that means we can enter the dates of the anticipated start and anticipated finish into the project level, APS level node, and in the WBS level. Okay, we will go to the activities. Do you think that we can enter an anticipated date here? Okay, let's try. Anticipated, well, we have anticipated start here. So we will put here at the beginning of the column. And then we have here the anticipated finish. Okay, edit, center. Highlight, edit, and then center. Then apply. So here it is. Okay. What do you think? can you enter the dates in here? If you click it, you cannot enter the dates. So meaning what date is reflected in here is being adopted from the, let's say, first we will go to the APS level. So that is 5th of October. So that means it follows the, where it follows. So it is not, it doesn't follow the, there is nothing here that is identical to the activity level, right? But if you look at the WBS level, even in the project level, they are not the same. Because actually, when you say project level, so the dates here is really in a project range. When it comes to the EPS node, so it is also an EPS node, the range of the EPS node that governs here. So when we will go to the WBS, this is a little bit more detailed, okay? Okay, let's try to put something here, like for example, this should be more earlier. So if you look at here, 5th of October and 5th of November. So if you look at our activity, so that means it followed the anticipated date here in the activity level, follow the WBS dates we entered on the WBS level. Okay, let's try here in WBS level. Let's say we will put here the date is October 3rd. Okay, and here is on the October of no, this should be yeah, okay, that's right, that's fine. So let's say this should be later, right? Because this is a higher level. So let's say we will make it a 10. Okay. So we will go to the activity. We will see what will happen. Okay. So we will try to run the schedule. So what happened? So the lowest, the lowest, I mean, no, this should be, we will put this later than November 5. So let's say November 8. Okay. And activities. So what happened? So let's say October 3, 5, 10. Oh no, this is 10 of November, 8th of November, and 5th. So the range of this one, we will look at this one if we are doing the right thing here. So what happened? If you look at our project, so that means there is none being followed here on the EPS level, right? So whatever the data that we have entered here in the APS level and the project level and the EPS node, it is not adapted in the activity level, right? So if you look at the activity level, this 5th of October and 5th of November, this is can be shown here on the, let's say we will put another here. 135, let's say 10 of October. And here, let's say, actually this should be anticipated. The overall is the 10, 8, 5. It should be, let's say we will use it 3. No, November 3. Okay, let's look at here. So there's nothing changes, but we cannot change this anymore. So let's say we will get back to here and then WBS. Okay, let's say, for example, we will dissolve this one first. Dissolve everything. Okay, so that means only the WBS activity code, I mean the WBS anticipated dates affects the activity anticipated date, right? We will try to remove this one also under the mockup. Let's say we will remove everything here. Okay. Let's try again. So under the project, we will shoot the dates. Let's say October 1 and up to what is the date of this one? October 1 to November 14. Okay. Okay, let's see the activity date, the activities. So nothing happened, right? Okay, so let's get back to the project and APS level. So how about if we will, let's say we will put another date here for the markup under the EPS node. Pull down, okay. And then here, going here is pull down. Okay. Let's schedule it, if what will happen. So there's nothing. So that means the project level anticipated, if you enter the anticipated um, dates into the project level and the EPS node level, so it cannot affect the activities, or I mean the activity anticipated start and finish dates. So let's go to the WBS. So here from the WBS, so actually, if you look at here, if we will remove this one, let's run the schedule. Okay, so there's nothing happened. I mean, it cannot affect I mean the project level anticipated date and the EPS level, EPS node level activity dates has no effect to the WBS day anticipated date and the anticipated start date. So the anticipated start and finish date cannot be entered. You cannot enter any dates on this. Just try it on your own Primavera if you can do it. But actually for me, I cannot, there is nothing, even though I made a lot of clicks here. So let's go to WBS. Let's try at the, if we will try to put here somewhere, let's say this is October 1. And this one is November 14. Okay, and let's see the activities. So there's nothing also. Even we will schedule it, there's none. So let's go. We will say, let's say we will put it here. Let's say 6 October 1 to November 14. Then run the schedule. Okay, there's nothing also. So let's get back to the lower level. Let's make it as October 1 and November 14. And then let's schedule it. So here we go. So that means in the WBS level, the lower WBS level, I mean the lowest WBS level reflects, is adapted by the activity anticipated dates. Okay. So actually, if we look at our WBS level here at the bottom, this is 0 total activities. There are no activities in here. So we'll delete this one. So that means the whatever you entered in the anticipated dates within the WBS only is the one being adopted by the anticipated dates under the activity level. Okay. So take note of that the WBS anticipated dates at the lowest level is the one being reflected on the activity level anticipated dates. So we're done here for the anticipated dates, right? Okay, let's go back to the, so that means in the anticipated dates, we can manually enter. Okay, let's click this one. So anticipated start can be manually entered into the project EPS node, WBS level only, but cannot be entered into the activity level, and the scheduling the project cannot affect the activity logic. Okay, and in the anticipated finish, the same thing. And I think we lack some assessment here that the only the WBS anticipated dates is being adopted. I mean, yeah, it's being adopted by the activity level anticipated dates. So next is the expected finish. So when we look at the definition from Primavera, the date the activity is expected to finish according to the primary resource. Typically, the primary resource enters this date when scheduling your project. you can choose to use the expected finish dates or not. Okay. So uh, s- speaking of the primary resource, what is this primary resource? So actually, primary resource, it is a resource assigned in a particular activity which is responsible or being assigned for the activities coordination. Okay, so this guy or resource is the one in charge of maybe monitoring the progress, coordinating the progress of the work, or whatever communication or coordination required for a certain activity. So most probably the one doing this is maybe the foreman or the lead man. Okay, or the site superintendent, but the most direct one here is the lead man, I think, and foreman is more generic in the assignment. Okay, so let's try it in Primavera P6. So let's open our Primavera, and then since it is stated that okay, let's go to the project level. So expected finish date. This is only about finish date. So let's say, for example, this is the mock-up, our mock-up program. So let's say we will put the expected date here, maybe earlier than November 14. Okay. And also we will assign also here November 14 on the APS node. Now literally November 10, I mean, this one is November 10. So if you look at the situation, um, it cannot affect even like for example, if you look at it, there is no relationship with the APS node or project or right, because if they have the relationship, if you change this one on the project level, so automatically it should change the there is a change on the upper APS node, right? So this type of activity dates is not really related when it comes to the EPS node or project level. So that means it is just a matter of pointing the dates to a certain date uh, just for a reference purposes only. Okay, even though if we will put it here, okay. Okay. So if you will look at our, let's say WBS, so we will be using the expected date of 10 November. And then, okay, let's open under WBS. We will insert here the, so here we are assuming that the foreman is our primary resource for its activity or the late man or whatsoever. But I think we need to I think we forgot to assign. We will need to assign first the resource here. So that means in every activity there is a resource in charge, right? but actually it does not affect the dates here on the resource. Okay, we have already tried on the project level. There is, and we observe something, and then we will assign it here in our WBS. Let's say expected date. We will show here custom dates. So expected finish date. Do we have here? Alt F expected. So that means it is not available in WBS. So it is only we can only enter the EPS under the project level and EPS node level. Okay. So here in the WBS, it is not available for entering the dates. You see, we cannot see in here the expected finish. Okay, let's close it. Now we will move to let's say we will move to activity level. Okay, we will insert our activities here. We will insert the column for the expected finish. Okay. Dates, do we have any expected finish here? Yes, we have, right? So we will insert it here and then edit and then enter, then apply. So here individually, we can insert the expected finish, but in here in the anticipated, we cannot. So that means we have to under the WBS levels. So we have to assign the the dates for the anticipated start and finish so that it will be reflected in here. So since the 6 activities are assigned into the lowest WBS level, so whatever the dates we put in here, let's say for example this one, so the dates here that we put in here is 1 October up to 14th of November. That is for the lowest level, which is shown here. Okay, lowest level because it is under the mockup 1.1. So this is 1.1 WBS. So that means it will reflect on the whatever is reflected on the WBS will be adapted here in the activity level, which is not which you cannot modify the dates in here in the activity level. So now we will go to the expected finish. So let's try to put here the expected finish. Let's say the anticipated finish, I mean the our planned finish here is 1 of October. So let's say we will put it here. No. Our finish here is 18th of October, right? So we will assume ahead expectation of to finish this activity by let's say 15th of October, right? Okay, because our schedule shows that we scheduled this to finish by the 18th of October, but we can also make an expectation that we can finish it by the 15th of October. So let's say or this could be the project manager's decision to or expectation that we can, instead of 18th of October, we can finish it by 15th of October. So we have to do it. Now next, here on the second activity, we have the planned finish here is 30th of October. So let's say we will put it under the 28th of October, or let's say 25th. Okay, and here we will put it here as this is November 5. So let's say we can finish it by 30th of October. I will make a little bit different dates so that we can see the change, any changes that we can observe. So here, the finish date here is 9th of October. So let's say we will finish it by the 5th of November. Okay, and here, the schedule finish date is 10th of November. So let's say we will finish it by let's see 10, let's say 8th of November. And then here 14th of November, so we will be finishing it by let's say 10th of November, or let's say 12 or 10th. Okay, 10th. So meaning our expected finish here that we put in here is different or being ahead compared to our schedule. Okay. So if we choose, okay, well, what will be the next step that we need to do to see whatever the movement or the behavior of this expected finish date? Okay, we will run the schedule. So take note. Okay, let's try. We will move this expected date nearer to this finish date so that we can see the difference. Okay, so we will move the expected date. We will move it nearer to the finish date. Okay, okay, so this is our expected finish date, right? So a little bit different than the baseline program or baseline schedule that we have. Our baseline schedule is 18, but expected finish is 15th of October. So there is a little bit difference. Now, if we will run the schedule, try to take a look what will happen. Okay. If there is a changes or none. Okay, so let's run the schedule. And then, are we ready? Okay, take a look on this, 15, 18, 18 should be, the expectation is 15. When we look at our anticipated and start and anticipated finish, it does not affect, even you run the schedule, it does not affect the baseline schedule. But here we will see in the expected finish if it could affect the baseline schedule. So let's run. Okay, schedule. Okay, there's nothing happened, right? It is because we have to, in the scheduling option, there is an option there in the general option. There is a, we have to set up the expected finish there. So let me show you this one. And then option. Okay. So you can see here the expected finish. Okay. Here you can there is an option here if we will be using the expected finish dates or not. Now, since we didn't check this checkbox, we didn't mark this checkbox and run the schedule, so there is no changes, right? But if we will mark the checkbox and then close and then run the schedule, okay, what happened? Nothing also. What I mean is that there is a changes on the finish date. The baseline program, I mean the baseline project finish date, you cannot affect, there is no effect on it or effect on it because this is a separate program. This is only for a reference program for our current program. So if you look at this one, our finish date now changed to 15, everything. So when we will be marking this checkbox here, that means we will be adapting that dates to change the current schedule dates. Okay. So what shall we do again to pull this back? Okay, so we have already sent the changes. So let's put this back into 18 so that this one will be retrieved again into the original dates. So let's make it 18. Let's make this one as 25th, 30. Let's make this one as 5th of November. This one is 9th of November. Okay. 18, 30, 5, 9, and this one is 10 of November. And this one is the 14th of November. Okay. So they're the same. So we will run again the schedule so that it will retrieve these finish dates. Okay, and the plan dates. Okay, let's run a schedule and then run. Okay, so they are the same again. So we're done here, right? So actually we have done the we have some observation here how these dates really works in Primavera P6. So let's put this back into here and then apply. So let's go to the into our let's look at the sharing. Okay, fine. Okay, so expected finish. So here is our observation. Okay, this can be manually entered into the project EPS node, WPS, and activity level, but scheduling the project only the activity level expected finish dates can affect the existing finish dates and duration. Okay? If scheduling that is, if scheduling general options is set to use expected finish dates. So expected finish dates are dissolved from the program when the activity finish dates are updated completely. Okay. How does it happen? The expected finish dates are dissolved from the program when the activity finish dates are complete. So let's try to see it. Actually, it is not stated in the let's say here. There is no statement here from the definition of the Primavera, but this is only our own observation, right? So this is our own observation. So we will prove it in Primavera P6. So if we will say, let's say, we will try to update our program. Okay, let's say we update this by October 1 as the actual start, and then we will put the actual finish, let's say the same date as 18 of October. Okay. So what happened? So everything in the expected finish here is or change, right? I mean the expected finish gets blank. The date is dissolved, right? Okay. So let's retrieve our schedule. So that means these expected finish dates are dissolved from the program when the activity finish dates are updated complete is true. Okay, let's move. Okay, constraint date. Okay, so constraint date, according to Primavera, the constraint date for the activity is the date for which the activity's constraint applies. So you can enter a primary and secondary constraints depending on the constraint type. So this date could be a start date or finish date. For example, if the constraint is finish on constraint, the constraint date is the date on which the activity must finish. If the activity does not have a constraint, this field will be empty. Okay, let's go. Let's see into the Primavera. Okay, I think we already tackled this one or explained this at the early parts of our exercise. But anyway, let's do this quickly just to refresh. So this is the constraint date. We will show the column for the constraint date. Here, let's say we'll use the primary constraint. Okay, let's put it here. And then edit, put it in center, and then apply. So here, under the status, you can also enter the constraint date here. Let's say, for example, let's say we have a constraint date selection here. And I think I have already explained this to you earlier. So I just want to show it to you again. So you can use this auto here. Primary constraint date. So if we will put, let's say, as late, so you can put it here. I mean, there is no constraint yet. That is why. Oh. Now we will use the primary constraint. This is not, we don't need the dates here because under the general primary constraint. Yeah, this one. Okay, so this is it. Okay, so we're done on primary constraint. Okay, let's remove this one. Okay, let's put it on center. Primary constraint, center, and then apply. Okay. So let's go to primary constraint. So our observation here is a constraint date is simply the restriction or limitations imposed to activity dates. So caution, constraint date must be used appropriately or otherwise it may or will damage the activity logic nonsensically. Okay, next, let's move to suspend date. Okay, so according to Primavera, the date on which an activity progress was or is planned to be suspended. So the activity must have an actual start date before you can enter a suspend date. So the amount of time an activity's progress is suspended is considered non-work time based on activity and resource calendar definition. So you can only enter a suspend date on task-dependent and resource-dependent activities when you enter a suspend date. So the activity is suspended at the beginning of this specified day. So let's go here. Let's look at the Primavera and show it in the column. So date, let's say we have here the suspend date. So we will add it again here. And then Edit the column. Let's put it under the center and then apply. Okay. So we have here the suspend date. I think our monitor is already full of dates, a field of dates. So let's go suspend dates. Okay. Suspend date. So assuming the client orders the suspension for a particular reason. So in this date type, this is applicable only to activities which are in progress before we can set the suspend dates. So that means this should be in progress. So we will make a actual start here. Let's say October 1 also, just as an example. So we have an actual start. So we can put a suspend date here. Okay, what suspend date in this? Okay, I think okay, let's try suspend date here. Let's say what date shall we put in here? Okay, let's say the suspend date, let's say October, let's say the suspend date is 15. Okay, so what shall we do next to see what will happen? Okay, let's run the schedule. Okay, and then okay, let's try if we can put the actual finish date. Let's say we want to put the actual finish date here. Since it is already suspended, so that means there should be no movement on this activity. So we will try to make an actual date here. Let's say the suspension is 15th of October. So if we will put the actual finish date, let's say later than the suspension date. So let's say 16. So there will a pop up here that there is a pop up when dialog box here that it says actual finish must have a resume date. So that means you cannot, once there is a resume suspension date, you cannot enter the actual finish date unless there is a resume date. Okay? Okay. How about, okay, so we're done on that observation. So how about if we will, of course, if it is completed before this suspension, actually there should be no suspension. So that is the observation that you cannot enter the, I mean, actual finish date unless if the activity is suspended, unless it is resumed. Okay. So let's look at our suspension date, suspended date. So our observation here is that it can be manually entered into the progress activity. So that means it is only for the progress activities or activities that are in progress. Once applied, activities actual finish date is not eligible for update. Okay? Okay, let's go to the resume date. Under the resume date, according to Primavera, the date on which an activity's progress was or is planned to be resumed. So when you enter resume date, the activity is resumed at the beginning of the specified day. Of course, We're just repeating the wordings here. So, okay, let's see it in Primavera. So we will add another column here for the resume date. So here under the date, we can see here the resume. So we will put it in here and then edit and then apply. Okay, so here is the resume date. Now, assuming the client lifted the suspension and ordered the resumption at a specific date, let's say, for example, let's say they resume by October. Suspension is 15, right? So they resume by October 20. Okay. So what will happen? So that means we can input the actual date now. So we will try the actual date, which is before the resumption. So let's say October 19. So the same thing. There is a dialog box here. It says actual finish must be later than resume date. Okay. So it should be, the actual should be later than the resume date, right? So let's put the actual. Let's say we will put it by 16th of October. Why not? Because the actual resume date is 20. So it should be 25th. Okay, so it's done. So again, we have already our observation. So we will retrieve our schedule. We will remove all the actuals. Okay, and suspension dates. So they're still the same, right? Okay, so we will update our resume date. Okay, this is our own observation, manually entered into the progress activity. Once applied, activity's actual finish date is eligible for update only to a later date than the resume date. Okay, okay, let's go move forward. So actual start, I think this is already, we already explained this one, and this is actually self-explanatory. So the date on which the activity is actually started. So my additional insight here is that actual start date must not be equal or later than the data date to avoid schedule errors. Okay. How about the actual finish date? So according to Primavera, the date on which the activity is actually finished. And my own additional insight is actual finish date must not be equal or later than the data date to avoid schedule errors. Okay, next we'll go to start. So according to Primavera, for started activities, the actual start date for not started activities is set to the project plan start until the project is scheduled. When scheduled, set a remaining early start date. So we will take our own assessment here. So okay, Primavera. So looking at the this our schedule here, actually this program has not yet updated, right? We have not yet started this one. So do we need to show the baseline bars here? I think not. So if you look at the start date here, from here down to here, since this has not yet started or been scheduled, the start dates here are all the same for all types of the dates, right? Starting from the baseline, start, plunge start, remaining early start, they are all the same. And also here on the finish dates, they are all the same since it has not yet started or been scheduled. Okay, so what shall we do here so that we can compare it properly? Okay, I think we have to, okay, let's remove all of this activity here so that we can set the, actually we have already finished in here. So let's set the, okay, let's remove these so that we can put a bar on our schedule. So what is this one? So let's say we will update this, like for example, we will update this activity. We'll make it, let's say it started on the 5th of October. Okay, take a look on this one. Everything here are all the same, right? But when we will try to, when we will update it, so we can see what will be the changes. So actual start, we will move it here at the front, okay? Then apply. Okay, so we put the actual start here by 5th of October. So looking at the situation, as you can see here, let's say let's change the second activity. Let's say it will start by let's say 10 of October. Okay. And then we will change the remaining duration into, let's say this one is 10. Anyway, let's not change this part. Okay. We will make this as 10. And then here, we will make this as 10 also. Okay. What happened? Okay, 10. Why the remaining duration becomes 20? Anyway, we have to run the schedule. We have to run this one to November 1. Okay, so what happened? So let's say the remaining, let's say we'll make it by 10. Why it is already 100%. Okay. Okay. The start date should be not so. We'll make it as 8. Okay, and then we'll make this the remaining, let's say 2. What happened? Actual remaining apply. Okay. The question here is why the activity percent complete becomes 0. Let's remove it again. Let's remove it. Okay. Here. Okay. 12. Wait, what happened? Okay. So we'll put here, we'll put it back to November. October. Okay. That's the reason why. So first, how I will try the actual start. Let's say actual start. Let's say October 3, and then here the actual start. Let's say October 20. Okay, and the remaining duration. Let's say we will put the around the schedule to November. So anyway, let's see our assumption for the remaining duration. Let's say 8. And here, the remaining duration, let's say 2. Okay, let's run the schedule into November 1. Okay, let's say the remaining duration is 2. Why, what happened? Say make it 50%. Oh, we have to remove this one. Okay, schedule. Okay, there we go. We forgot to remove the options here. Okay, that's the problem there. Okay, so we have here the situation, and then let's say we will make this as 100%. So that will be, let's say the actual finish is same date as in planned, which is 18. Oh, let's say we will make it a little bit earlier. Okay. So if you look at this condition, okay, the start date, what happens to the start date? Okay, since it is already completed, so what is our observation here? Okay, the observation here is that when the activity has not started, this was equal to the early start date. This one. But now when it started, it is equal to the actual start. Okay. So this is our actual start, right? So that is our observation there. Previously, it was the same as the early start date. But when the actual date was implemented, so it becomes, or it becomes equal to the actual start date of the activity with a suffix a. I mean, there is an additional a suffix a at the end of the date, right? So that is our there is an appended suffix a here at the end of the date. So that is our observation. Okay. What else? So we will our start. This is our observation. When the activity has not started, it is equal to the early start date. But when the activity has started, it is equal to the actual start date of the activity with a suffix a appended at the end of the start date. Okay, so let's go to the planned start. So according to Primavera, the planned start for an activity that has not started, the date the activity is scheduled to begin. This date is set equal to the early start date by the project scheduler but can be updated manually by the project manager. So this date is not changed by the project scheduler once you apply an actual start date. Okay, we will do our own observation. So planned start date. Okay, here is the planned start date. So if you look at the planned start date, they are still the same on the schedule of our baseline program. So once the activity, once the project has not yet started, the start date of the activity is always equal to the planned start date. All right. Now, when the activity has not started, it is equal to the early start date. Okay. So the early start date here changed, but this October 1 was the date of the early start date. So that means our observation here that when the activity has not started, it is equal to the early start date of the activity. But when the activity has started, the early start date changed. But the planned start date is still on October 1st, which means it is equal to the date before it was scheduled. So before it was scheduled, the date is October 1. And now when we schedule it, the date is still the same. Okay? So that is our observation there. And then, okay, so we will add it in our own observation here for the planned start date on top of the definition made by Primavera P6. So when the activity has not started, it is equal to the early start date. But when the activity has started, it is equal to the date before it was scheduled. Okay? So next. Okay, so there is an additional insight here. Planned start date of its current or updated program are not the same as in the baseline program. So planned start of the unstarted remaining activity is subject to change in every update period according to the activity logic and the dynamic nature of time. Okay, so next we will be going to the early start. So according to Primavera, the earliest possible date the remaining works for the activity can begin. And this date is calculated by the project scheduler based on the activity relationship schedule constraints and and resource availability. So the early start equals the remaining start unless you preserve the scheduled early date during labeling. So what is our own observation? So early start. Let's look at our Primavera. So this is the early start. So actually, this early start already changed, right? So when the activity has started or has not started, this early start is equal to the remaining early start. Okay, you might be confused of the remaining early start, but actually, the difference of this one is that early start is when the project has not yet started. So that is the start of the activity or the remaining. Actually, there is no remaining on it because it has not started yet. So meaning the original duration is the original start date is still equal to the early start. But when the activity started, so a portion of the activity has already an actual and the remaining of it is called the remaining early start. Okay. Now, so our own assessment here is that when the activity um, has not started, it is equal to the remaining early start unless the scheduled early dates are preserved during labeling. So when the activity is updated complete, remember, when the activity is updated complete, early start is set equal to the data date. So that means if you look at here, the date here is 1 November, which is equal to our data date here. Okay, so that is our own observation. Okay, let's proceed and let's add our, what do you call this? On top of the Primavera P6 definition, we will add our own observation here. So when the activity has started, has started, it is equal to the remaining early start unless the scheduled early dates are preserved during the labeling. Okay. And next, when the activity is updated complete, early start is set equal to the data date. Okay. I think this is enough for this session because I think we are taking more than 1 hour already. So we shall finish all Primavera P6 activity date types in our next episode. Okay. So our next episode is a special topic session 4, which is the Primavera P6 activity dates explained. This is for the second segment. So see you for this episode and thank you guys. Kindly subscribe, like, and share. Okay. And end of our session. God bless to all of us. Goodbye.